Hello, Brad here, just to say we're super proud that the Friday 5pm podcast is sponsored by the Malt Miller, the UK's best home brew store.
We use the Malt Miller for all of our homebrew experiments, as well as tapping them up for advice and binging on their awesome YouTube channel all the time.
That's why whenever we release a homebrew video, we put a recipe kit live on the Malt Miller, so you can brew with the exact same amazing ingredients that we did. The same ingredients used by pro brewers.
So alongside the Malt Miller's nitro-flushed hops, cold-stored yeast and milled-to-order malts, you can pick up recipe kits for our 5 Points Best Bitter, Russian River West Coast IPA, and now the fastest beer in the world, a hazy session IPA that goes from grain to glass in less than 48 hours.
Sign up to their newsletter at tinyurl.com/Malt Miller to get 5% off your first order. With the Malt Miller's amazing customer service and Johnny's 48-hour recipe, you could order the ingredients on a Monday and be drinking the beer by the weekend.
Speaking of which, it's Friday.
It's 5pm.
So enjoy this week's Friday 5pm podcast. It's Friday, it's 5pm, and that means it's almost exactly 3 weeks until we open the doors of our second annual festival, Love and Beer.
Terrifying, Johnny, but also amazing. What a lineup we've got this year. What an incredible array of delights we've got for everyone who's bought a ticket. Tickets are still available, but selling fast.
Yeah, afternoon is basically done. I think there was one ticket left. We put some more online, but like 10 more.
Yeah.
But then it will be done, and it's all about the evening session, which is when the party is anyway, you know?
Right.
That's when we're gonna let loose, take our T-shirts off, throw them in the air, get the glow sticks out, just start raving.
We're gonna shut all the doors and make it really sweaty. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Can I go home? That sounds horrible.
Yeah,
No,
that's very much not the vibe we're going for.
There's good airflow throughout the party space.
Yeah, well ventilated.
And T-shirts are advised, I would say.
I'd say mandatory.
Mandatory?
I'd say mandatory. Yeah.
Yeah.
Glow sticks are acceptable.
Yeah, but don't drink your glow sticks, guys, because
Is that a risk? Do people do that?
I feel like I've heard of people drinking glow sticks before. I think I've been at Glastonbury and seen people with like vampire type people walking around with like glow stick residue around their mouths, like they've been feasting.
I don't think that's good for you.
It's definitely toxic. It's got to be really toxic, right? Yeah.
I mean, something that glows is not generally consumable.
Unless
I can't remember the last thing I ate something that glowed and felt good after.
You love those glowworms that we find in the forests, don't you, Johnny? You're always running around like a sort of little nymph trying to grab them out of the sky. Yum.
I mean, you can tell just looking at me on the YouTube channel that I'm a bit of a glowworm enthusiast. What? Yeah. Where has this gone? There's a festival that's
Johnny. Bioluminescence, mate. That's what it's all about.
There is a festival. It's on the 14th of September. There are still tickets for the afternoon just about, but there's lots of tickets in the evening if you want to come and party with us. We'll have amazing bottle shares. I've been sorting out the rest of them. We've already got Heady Topper in the lineup, thanks to our vegan barbecue food supplier, which is stoked. They're going to be cooking up some amazing stuff and bringing some crazy beers from their new website, Bucket List Beers. I've been chatting to my old boss at Cave Direct. He's going to sort us out some delicious rare lambic.
Oh, wow.
We're going to be doing Orval and Monster Munch as a pairing.
Hell yeah.
It's all going to kick off in the bottle shares. And then obviously getting very excited about the homebrews that are going to be in the homebrew tent. We started to hear some of the styles and some of the ideas that are coming our way through the 6 homebrew clubs, but also the beers that are being brewed by our industry friends who have all collaborated. So I've already revealed the list, but I've started to get the descriptors through of the beers to have on the little taster card, and they all sound bloody marvellous.
Dude, it's an incredible lineup. From cult classics to newly created amazingness. And I think this is the great thing about Love and Beer. It's all about connecting people that we like, that we think will like each other as well. So the lineup of collabs, I think, is awesome. You sent me one yesterday of two breweries which brew similar kind of beers, but kind of together, maybe they can make something even more amazing than they make on their own. Who knows?
Yeah, so that's McCall's and Wild Horse who are doing an NZ Pills. That sounds phenomenal, and they are. I think I described them in the tasting notes as like two crispy but hoppy brewers. What I love about them is it's all pints based, but it's all bold and aromatic beer, which is exactly my favourite kind of beer.
Love it.
And yeah, I'm very excited to taste that one. The Smoked Dunkel from Utopian and Braybrook sounds delicious. The last beer to be brewed, it's being brewed, I think brewed on Monday. So cutting it fine there, Phantom and Neon Raptor.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to be a Nectaron Hazy Pale that will be absolutely delicious. Nectaron, this new variety that people are getting very, very excited about. So that's very cool. So it's going to be very, very exciting. And like we say, tickets are still available. I've been doing a lot, Bradley. I've been all over the place the last week or so. So last week I was obviously brewing with Pressure Drop, Pastore. Well, we were brewing with Pressure Drop and then Pastore, and oh my God, two Flints. But this week I've been doing lots of filming to get ready for the fact that I'm going on holiday.
Mate, you're not allowed. What? You're not allowed on holiday. What are you on about?
It is literally the longest time I'll have taken off from work since paternity leave in 2021.
No way.
And it's only a week.
I know, that's shocking. I thought you went to Cornwall last year. Maybe not. Maybe I'm getting confused. No. Oh, you didn't go?
No.
Oh.
I didn't go to Cornwall. I had 3 days in Cromer at the start of last year.
That's right.
That's about it.
Oh, mate, well, you've well earned it. Have you got any beery destinations you're going to be heading to?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, Cornwall. We'll be headed to all of our favourite St Austell pubs.
Great.
Maybe going to Charlestown, which we absolutely love, and I think it's just been refitted after a fire. So from the ashes. Sorry, not Charlestown as a whole. The St Austell pub in Charlestown. Of course, we'll be headed to Verdant and the Seafood Bar, and they've got a new bar called Schooners, which is basically a beach bar with pizza and Verdant beer, which we're definitely visiting, whether my family like it or not. And then, of course, Pipeline we'll be saying hi to. I think there's another brewery now on the same estate as Verdant as well. I can't remember the name of it, but I might try and stick my head in there and see. So, yeah, basically it's a brewery tour of Cornwall is what we're going on. My family just don't know it yet.
Well, I'm sure your wife will be over the moon about that, Johnny.
Over the moon to be Des for a week.
Yeah. But you've earned it, mate. So, and I really hope you get some fantastic weather down there. And you get to take your shirt off there if you can't take it off at the festival.
Yeah, well, I'll be donning a wetsuit and doing some surfing as well.
Oh, really?
That's for certain. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool, man. Oh, I've just sent you a link to a shop, which I think you should go to, which I've been eyeing up. It's in St Ives.
Is it the Cornish Pasty Company?
Yeah. I hear they're available in train stations everywhere. But no, it's called Atlantic Coastal Supplies, and it's like a very Wes Anderson sort of color palette and like logos and stuff. But he makes really cool baseball hats, wetsuits, swimming masks, and sort of surf related paraphernalia. So you should definitely check that out because it looks great. I really want a hat.
Okay.
But if you go, maybe you can buy a hat for each of us on CBC, potentially.
As we've established, I can only buy a hat for myself if he has child sizes.
Child size. He looks like he's got a small head, to be honest. He looks quite slender. But the main guy...
Well, I don't have a small head. I just think my ears are a bit high on my head. So all the hats just make them tuck down like I'm an elf.
You tell yourself that. No, I've got a massive noggin.
You got a lot of hair as well.
I have got a lot of hair. This is true, but I feel like, fundamentally different head shapes.
You might be like a sheep, and if we trimmed you right down, you actually have a very, very small crown.
I wish I did, Johnny, but I don't. But I tell you what, man, the Love and Beer Festival is a great opportunity for you guys out there. Come and buy a ticket. Come and check out the disparity between our noggin sizes.
Yeah, bring measuring tape.
Bring a measuring tape. Just stay away from my waistline. But come and check us out. We are human walking spectrum of head sizes. There you go.
I'm worried about the rest of this podcast. It's already started. So weird. So I've been doing lots of filming this week. I was at Kirkstall filming another section of Keep Cask Alive 2.
Amazing. Yeah.
So it's great to reunite with Chris Hall, who is a friend of the channel. He's been on a couple of times. Possibly the originator of the term juicy banger.
I think he was, you know.
Yeah. Which was used as a term essentially in the early hazy days for anything that was very juicy rather than sort of West Coasty, piney.
Did he came up
citrusy.
with the malt right as well, didn't he?
Fuck the Malt Right as well, yeah, which was a T-shirt for Good Beer Hunting. A smart man, a funny man, and it was great to hang out with him, talk about mostly post-World War II aspirational, extra strong, bitter recipes from around the country. And we brewed a beer inspired by that, an ESB on their small kit at Kirkstall. And then I had a great interview with Steve Holt. Don't do the thing. He's bored of it, and I don't think he understands it fully. But he's the owner of Kirkstall, and obviously now, therefore, the owner of Leeds Brewery and of North Brewing, and of some amazing pubs as well. I did a little pub tour of the Cardigan Arms and Kirkstall Bridge, which are beautiful pubs. Drank lots of Three Swords, which is sort of their English pale ale, and I had a really, really great time. It's a really locally, Kirkstall are everywhere and well loved, and run some beautiful pubs as well, and are known for that. And every time they take on a new pub, there's a lot of excitement among people for the fact that Kirkstall have taken on a new one. But outside of Leeds or maybe Yorkshire, people don't really know Kirkstall. They don't really know entirely what they do and the incredible work that they do, like restoring pubs, brewing revival sort of heritage recipes, using English ingredients, obviously, to do so, and just running a really beautiful and innovative company that's just, as I walked around, there were lots of faces like, why do I know you? And I'll have met them at some other brewery that we filmed at. So it feels like they're a real magnet for talent in the industry. And I think their time is coming. A lot of people stood up and took notice when they bought North.
Yes.
But now we're going to realise what Kirkstall have been up to for the last couple of years, slowly but surely, because it's magic.
So what you're saying
it's an
is
incredible place.
Basically, Chris works at sort of like a Bond villain lair that's decked out in amazing breweriana from the last 100 years, making sort of revivalist craft beers. They're trying to take over the world with amazing beer, is what you're saying.
Yeah, he's like a benevolent Bond.
I love it.
Bond enemy. Yeah.
Wow, amazing. He's an enemy you want to be friends with.
Exactly. Oh, what a line! I like that.
Yeah.
So I shot an interview with Steve at the Cardigan, and like that pub is stunning. I'll send you some screenshots, Brad, because you'll have loved all the memorabilia that he's kept, but the way he's applied it in the pubs, it just looks incredible. And we had some beautiful light pouring through stained glass. It was sort of a cinematographer's dream. We just like, wherever I put this camera, it looks amazing.
I didn't get to come and bring Droney friend with me either. But
well, the drone wouldn't have helped in what is. I mean, the brewery. Pub. Yeah, a small pub. Yeah, you wouldn't want to fly it around there. You'd do a lot of damage to the woodwork, I'd imagine. A lot of panelling that could get scratched.
I don't know. I reckon this drone would come off worse than the panelling. But yeah.
Yeah, probably. The woodwork's been there for a century, whereas that drone, probably. I'd be surprised if it lives a couple of years, given he's driving it.
Oh, come on.
So I've also been filming some stuff in the studio, including this week's video, which we'll get into, but also I filmed the Hefeweizen blind taste test. So there were 17 Hefeweizens, all sort of classics from Central Europe. I didn't sort of put craft in there. There could be a craft Hefeweizen blind taste test out there. If you watch the Craft Beer channel, you'll probably know what won. And I'm very glad that it stood the test of time, or the test of blind, which they don't always do. But also some real surprises in there, some beers that I would never pick up off the shelf because they're, I guess sort of big macro, you'd assume sort of pasteurized and filtered to within an inch of their life. They wouldn't filter a Hefeweizen, that'd be madness. I mean, now I know that there is a certain supermarket Hefeweizen that's actually very delicious. So lots to learn from this. And then I did a crash course in hops, which I was telling Brad before we started recording is more like an in-depth analysis of hops.
Yes, you went down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, I didn't have Brad to sort of
go what?
Ask the simpler questions and
yeah.
and misdirects me. So instead, I just went down some absolute rabbit holes and started talking about Abbess Hildegard and her views on the weight of a man's soul after consuming hops back in the 12th century and stuff like this.
What?
So
this sounds mental, Johnny. Abbess Hildegard from the 12th century, eh? The weight of a man's soul.
She's the original, the earliest source we have of evidence that brewers knew that adding hops to beer prevented it or slowed down the souring process. But she also says that consuming hops makes the weight of a man's soul sad.
Wow.
Which I think she just means hungover, right?
Maybe. Is she a witch? If she's from was she an early?
No, she's an abbess.
Witch?
She's like a Benedictine nun.
This is cool. I've never heard of her. I need to see this video, Johnny. Don't cut that bit out. It sounds great. It sounds very odd. We need some
it's not exactly
AI-generated...
a crash course in hops, though. I think I might need to refilm it so maybe remarket this one when it comes out as like in-depth hops, and then we'll follow it up with a crash course where it is just 3 minutes of going, New Zealand hops will mostly taste like this, and these are the varieties. American hops, which was the original plan, but then then I got talking about Abbess Hildegard.
Got all literary.
Abbot Adelhard.
What?
I feel like I've merged those two names, but he was the guy that was the first. That's the first written evidence we have of hops being added to beer, which is about 300 years before Hildegard started going. Hops make you sad.
Wow.
So that's how I've spent my week, and then obviously editing those and having panic attacks about being too nerdy.
Yeah.
So there's lots of great content, even though I'm away. Not next week after. So hopefully there'll be a podcast next week, but definitely not the week after. And then the week after that, probably not, because it's our festival. Yeah. And I don't know whether we'll have time to do a podcast that week. Although we probably should. We might shift some last minute tickets. Maybe it'll just be a 5-minute episode in which we say, if you bring a tape measure, you can come in free. That's not. No, that's not. That's not what's happening.
That sounds good.
Yeah, Bradley, you've had some time reading some beer news. What have you found?
Yeah, I've not been doing that much beer stuff because my mum's not very well, so I'm sort of helping my mum at the moment a little bit. So sorry everyone if you're missing me in some of the content. Johnny's doing an amazing job amidst difficult circumstances, which I really appreciate. But yeah, we've got lots of beer news today, Johnny. We've got kind of an uplifting bit of beer news from BBC.
Yeah, this one's great.
Yeah, which is elderly people are challenging perceptions and improving their well-being by making and tasting beer with local brewers. And this is all about a story about a beer trial being used to help restore dementia residents' identities. And it's a thing called the Hoppiness Project, set up by Alive Activities and Bristol University researchers, which aims to empower and stimulate residents who have progressive illnesses. And it's in a couple of care homes in Bristol. And it's brilliant. It's run by a guy called he's called Guy Manchester. A guy called Guy Manchester, who's worked in the care home system for a long time. And he sort of has realised that sitting people in front of a TV all day isn't good for them, and that if they have more of a purpose to their day, they come alive again a bit, which sounds beautiful.
It's a brilliant thing, and it's also quite an obvious thing because beer is well, I guess alcohol in general, to be fair, but mostly beer is such a social glue is the cliche we use, but for the entirety of these people's lives, they'll have probably been drinking beer and meeting friends over it. And when you get into a care home, I feel like there's almost like a stigma around alcohol.
Yeah,
and that's kind of bullshit. That's how people have connected. These people, particularly with people with things like dementia, when they can connect, it's going to be absolutely vital that they do. So it kind of makes, I don't know, some people might be like, oh, giving people with dementia alcohol sounds pretty unethical. I think it's literally the opposite.
No, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. And also the act of gardening as well, which essentially is what they're doing with planting hops. How many sort of nannies and granddads do we all know that love a
Love
bit
to
of
potter around the
gardening,
garden. Yeah.
So you could just imagine how these things, these activities would bring back kind of good, positive feelings in them and enrich their lives, even if it's just for that day. I think it's a fantastic project, and I wish there was more of this stuff going on, because we're an aging population, and this is going to get more and more of an issue as the decades go on, I think. But I'd love a little pub in a care home. How cool would that be? Little, just like
if I
pub
ever move
day.
into a care home, I'll be like pushing an actual bar into my room.
Yeah, I think it's
say
brilliant.
this is where we party, guys.
Yeah.
But it's backed by research. That's what's really great. So
Yeah.
this Dr. Karen Gray
Yeah.
has said that it's been really interesting to see the effects that the sessions have had. And literally, she says, so many of us have a drink or social drink of some kind, and those environments are part of life, which is why we wanted to include beer in this project. So Karen Gray knows, people.
Mm-hmm.
Karen Gray knows. And so does
Exactly.
Guy Manchester. That is a wonderful story. I'm so often when we look for beer news, it's pretty negative or pretty industry based, but this is just joyous.
It's brilliant. I love it. Well done, Karen Gray. Well done, the university, and well done, Guy Manchester, for having a fantastic name and being a really cool guy. Who looks really nice in his photo. He looks like a lovely person. But yeah, I think it's great. And I'm going to go round for a pint at some point if we're ever down that way.
I hear the beer's cheaper in care homes.
Yeah, right.
So we do have a more industry-led story as well, which actually partly inspired this week's video. 'Cause it's not brand new news, but it seems like the press have picked up on it.
Yeah.
And that is the fact that Carling is no longer the best-selling draft lager in the UK, which to those outside of the UK, Carling has basically been the best-selling beer for, I don't know, maybe in my head, like
forever?
10, 20 years, yeah.
Yeah, a long time.
Since lager took over bitter as sort of the most drunk beer in I think it was the mid-90s or very early 90s, it's basically been Carling. So now it's Birra Moretti.
Birra Moretti is stepped
faux
up.
Italian lager.
It's a world beer, isn't it? It's a world lager, Johnny. And it's brewed in Manchester by Heineken, which is interesting.
And it's to be fair to it, I didn't put Carling in the blind taste test because I could only buy it in packs of 24, and I was like, I don't want 24 Carlings in my house.
Who does?
But Birra Moretti came in single packs, so I did taste that as part of my good macro, because lots of people consider it one of the better beers, and it scored pretty well.
Yeah,
it scored 20. It got 7 for aroma, 8 for palate, but 5 for aftertaste, because it was not bitter enough, which would very much be a choice made by Heineken there. I do accept that. And it's a little bit metallic, a little bit of oxidation.
Lovely.
Probably because it's got a little bit of specialty malt in there. It's clearly got some Cara or some Crystal or something. It just makes it a little bit more amber than most of these lagers. And that, particularly if it's Crystal, is more prone to oxidation. So I think that's why it got a little bit of that.
What's the video, Johnny, if everyone wants to go and watch it?
It was beer expert blind tests good macro beer.
And who's the beer expert?
That's me.
Sorry,
that's me.
Sorry. Of course,
Self.
it's Johnny. Yes,
self-aggrandizing me.
No, it's brilliant. The beer expert videos, they're our most watched videos, aren't they? Which is
by quite a way, yeah.
Which is kind of amazing. Well, I think they're great, and obviously people love your deep dives into genres. Brilliant stuff.
Well, mostly people like it. There's the ones that have gone properly viral that are sat at sort of 700,000 views or even more.
Yeah.
Views are mixed. I'm very much a 15 out of 30 kind of person as far as they're concerned. I mean, this one did go viral-ish. It's sort of at 500,000, I think, maybe just under. And everyone was quite excited because people love these brands, these good macros. Pils Raquel, Stiegel, Augustina, Camden Hells, Asahi. So that one was quite a positive one. It's the bad macro one where I came in for a hell of a lot of flack, and a lot of people going like, "Who decided this guy was a beer expert?" And I haven't used this line, but in shot are my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12, 13, 14, 15 awards for beer communication and obviously our silver play button.
You are the most awarded man in the last decade at the Guild of British Beer Writers, right?
I
Possibly
am, although
ever, maybe.
We're possibly. So the Guild's been going for, I think, just shy of 30 years. So for at least a third of it. Although I will say, that part of the reason that I am is because Pete Brown, who was closest in that league, was the chair for 3 years, and you're not allowed to enter the awards as chair. So I'm currently chair, so I can't enter at the moment, which is why Craft Beer Channel didn't win anything last year. Well, I presume why we didn't. We might not have won something. So we'll see where I land after my 3 years as chair and see how many Pete Brown is playing catch up right now. He's trying to win them all so he can take back the crown. So we'll see how he does.
It's an arm wrestle between you and Pete Brown.
It is pretty much.
I think between you and Pete Brown, in terms of an arm wrestle, I'd maybe go Pete. I don't know. Although you do play a lot of tennis and stuff, so you've probably got a good strength.
Well, I used to. I haven't played tennis in a long time now. I've basically missed the summer season, combination of weather and work.
Let's just say, I haven't ridden my bike all summer, which makes me really sad.
Yeah.
I literally haven't been out on it because of various things that are going on. But yeah, man, it's we gotta use it or lose it in terms of all this stuff. So it's
Muscle
hard to
mass.
fit things in, isn't it?
Oh, right, yeah, bikes and stuff, yeah. Yeah, it's not been the summer we all hoped for in the UK, which has probably hit lager sales, which might slightly explain why Beer Moretti's kind of done it, because I think it is a beer that you would, I wouldn't touch Carling unless I was desperate and was very, very thirsty on a hot day, whereas Beer Moretti I might turn to in desperation.
Well, let's talk about the optics a little bit of that, because it's more of an, psychologically, it's a bit exotic, isn't it? Oh, it's premium Italian. Ooh, look at that! I feel like I'm on holiday.
Yeah, I can definitely see the appeal of that, and I do exactly the same when I see a Bavarian or Czech Pilsner on tap. A little part of me is like, oh, it'll be like being transported there. So I can see the value in it from the brand and indeed the consumer perspective. Just what bugs me is when they're not actually from that country. And Beer Moretti, I believe, is originally an Italian brand that's being brewed over here. Not the case with Madri, which we'll dig into in a bit. So, I've been cynical about it, but I understand why people love it. And Heineken are just like balls out honest about it as well.
Yes.
They understand what they've done there and why it's kind of worked, and it's also why Peroni has had such incredible success. And anybody that sort of like thinks, oh, you only buy it because it makes you feel like you're on holiday, that's most beer. To be fair, it's just that it's got to be authentic in that regard.
Yeah, I agree.
Although I would say that the Heineken beer brand's unit director, Veronica Sica, saying Beer Moretti encourages the drinker to live the Italian lifestyle through the ideas it cultivates, I think is overselling what it's doing. What it's making people think is like, sun's out, gonna have a Moretti, might have a pizza later. That's about the extent of the impact that they're having. But I guess when you have to give endless quotes to trade magazines like this one I'm reading from Morning Advertiser, either you have a little bit of fun with it, like a lot of film stars do, and just start answering weirdly, or you start to believe your own hype, I guess.
I heard that their sales were boosted by the launch of Birra Moretti's Sal de Mer.
That's got to be nonsense. Who's drinking salted Birra Moretti?
Well, Johnny, not me, but yeah, they advertise it as a medium-bodied premium lager with a unique twist, unfiltered for a natural haze and infused with a hint of Italian sea salt. Which sounds not good to me. I don't know. I'm not sure about this.
Not nobody. I love Gosers. Sorry.
Yeah.
Most beer drinkers consider salt the opposite of liquid. It's like that will make me more thirsty.
Well, is that the point? Is it because it's a little bit of salt where it feels like you need to drink more to get over the salt content?
Well, maybe, but if that was the case, just add it and don't tell anyone.
Yeah. in the water chemistry.
I mean, also, there's salt in most beers. You know,
Yeah.
they've
Yeah.
just, I guess, used Italian sea salt and added a little bit more of
I
it.
was going to say, is it Italian sea salt, Johnny?
Well, this is the thing. We don't know because they've marked. You know, it's not Italian beer. Do we know it's Italian sea salt? Hey.
Yeah. Well, do you know what? This an Italian beer, yeah, but I think we've got better sea salt than Italy. I'm going on the record. I reckon Malden sea salt kicks Italy's sea salt in the arse. In the
Goodness me.
Arrivederci. It says Arrivederci, Italian sea salt. There's very good French sea salt, which I can't remember the name of, but I think Malden sea salt is way better. So they it's less exotic sounding. I guess it kind of tastes like you're drunk and you're having a swim in the Med, is what they're going for.
Oh, do you reckon that's what they're going for? I mean, they've called it salt. They've called it salt of the sea, right? That's Sally de Mer.
Yeah. So it's like, I mean, I guess if you got, I don't know if I want to go down this route, but if you were a billionaire,
God, if even you're editing yourself, I dread to think where this was.
A billionaire that's yacht has surprisingly capsized and whatever in a freak weather incident.
All right, I can see why this is. Yeah, I can see why this is controversial now. Yep.
Didn't affect boats near it and stuff. Possibly.
Oh my God, are you a truther for what's going on?
Don't know. I think there's something weird going on. Don't you think there's something weird going on? The bike guy as well.
His other mate.
Couple of days earlier.
Yeah, I mean, it is a little bit strange, but also I
looked
don't.
At the company that they had, that autonomy company. It's like AI stuff about spying on people and like big data and everything. It's pretty wild stuff. But anyway, Italian. So if
we're starting a truther podcast as well, where we just get drunk and talk about things we don't understand. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, exactly. But it's definitely interesting, all that. But Italian sea salt.
But what you were trying to say is, the beer tastes like you've been hit by a wave while trying to surf. Which is not a particularly pleasant experience either.
So you're gonna have some of that while you're surfing next week or in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, maybe I will. I won't go and drink some delicious Verdant. I'll be like, have you got any Birra Moretti Sala de Mer? Because I haven't swallowed enough seawater trying to surf. Yeah, probably not. I did see that. Is Heineken? Is it Heineken Silver a thing, or did I make that up?
Heineken Silver. What is that? Like another one that's like salty.
I think it's called Silver because I think they're withdrawing that because it's in like terminal decline. So it's not all good news for Heineken. You'll be pleased to hear. I'm still not really sure what it was. I think it's just like Stella Fear. It's like
it says
session Heineken.
What makes Heineken Silver different is the ice cold lagering process. By brewing Heineken Silver at -1 degree C, more cold haze is allowed to form and be filtered out. So it's even less hazy. Not that there's any haze at all.
Than in bright Heineken.
So it's like, also, Heineken's too hazy for me. Have you got anything less hazy? Yes.
Pretty
Heineken
much all
Silver.
lager should be at -1 anyway. That should literally be the process.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess it just goes to show to people that understand lager making that Heineken itself is not a proper lager. Although that did win my bad macro lager test, to be fair to it. As much as I hate Heineken with a passion and all the terrible things they've done as a company,
Come on, Johnny.
The beer itself is the best of a bad bunch.
The little stubby ones, they're if you find one of those in the bottom of a cooler at someone's garden party or barbecue.
But that's just the experience of it. That's not the flavour. Just drink it from a can. Don't drink it from a bottle because then it gets skunked.
Oh, do not pour it. Do not decant it. Do not do that to yourself. No way. But yeah, it's the little beer d'or size kind of,
Dude,
just
beer
ice
d'or's
cold
250,
thing.
mate.
Well, I know that, but what I was
programme.
getting at was the size is small, isn't it? Diminutive, but not powerful. Diminutive and not powerful. And hopefully not salty unless it's been washed up on a beach. But it's okay. But they are bad. But it's okay. Is it okay?
Moving on.
Life is difficult, isn't it, these days, Johnny? Everything's sort of bad.
Nothing's
Lots
black
of
and white,
grey
is it?
areas. No black and whites anymore. No.
Yeah. But some things are very, very red, such as Madri. as I've been
we
told to
got there.
pronounce it.
Yes.
Yeah, we got there, which was the topic of this week's video, it was partly inspired by the fact that Birra Moretti had become the best-selling lager in the UK. It was also inspired by an amazing interview, which I would say the head of marketing from Estrella Galicia regrets, where they basically said that the Molson Coors, the brewers of Madri, were being dishonest by calling it the soul of Madrid. And let's be clear, they are. They are not making a play for, this will remind you of being in Spain. They are making a play for, this is a Spanish beer. Right?
Yeah.
There can be no doubt that they want you to think that this was brewed in Spain.
No,
Even to the point where the first line of the back, where it says where it's brewed, they write it in Spanish, even though it's Tadcaster. Yeah,
that is ridiculous and also amazing. You've got to give them chops for their marketing is ridiculous.
Just pushing as far as consumer standards will let them go.
Yeah. It is kind of an outrageous thing, right? Yeah, it's a bit like, going to a market and buying some fake Gucci handbag or some shit. You know what I mean? It's got a whiff of fakeness about it, which feels dishonest to the extreme. But maybe has a satiating quality to people that can't afford or can't get to Madrid, or likewise they're shopping at a market and they can't afford a Gucci handbag, a real one. So there's something like I won't say it's guilty pleasure, because I don't think that's not what I'm getting at. But what I'm saying is it's got that sort of slightly naughty thing about it where I hate it, but also I quite admire how close they're sailing to the wind in terms of it's fake, but it's totally all fake and fabricated, but they're getting away with it.
Yeah, and something that I didn't realize, that I'm not quite sure how long this has been going on, but it is now being brewed at La Sagra and sold in Madrid.
Is it?
So,
okay.
But after the UK was released and was a success, so I feel like they never expect Madri to overtake Mau, or Mahou as it's spelled, Mau,
Mahou,
as a brand in Madrid. Like Mau is as far as I can understand.
You keep saying Mau, but I saw the comment that said it's pronounced Mau, but I thought they meant the beginning bit, the Ma bit, like Ma of Mahou. So Mauhu, like Mauam. But you reckon it's just pronounced Mao, like Chairman Mao? That's how you say Mahou. No way. I can't.
I don't think you call it Mahou. I don't know.
Mauhu.
I
don't know. That's how I interpreted that question. I don't know.
Whatever it's called, dominates Madrid, and I don't think that Madri has a hope of beating that. But I think what they're doing is, I guess, red washing. They are, in response to videos like mine, they'll now be able to go like, "Oh, well, it's been served in the capital of Spain for X amount of years," but obviously with a Spanish accent. Yes. I think they're making a long play there, not for Madrid, but for the export markets of. Well, I guess it's not an export market; it's brewed in England, and I think it's in Canada as well.
Yeah, someone said it was brewed in Canada as well at this point, which is
I guess the Canadian version will be. Yeah.
Did it have, importantly, Johnny, a herringbone patterned lid on the bottle?
It did have a lovely herringbone patterned cap.
Wow, that's quite jazzy, isn't it? I've never seen. I mean, it is. I will doff my hat to the designers at Madri. I think it's a really good dupe, isn't it, of something that isn't quite true. Like they've got that little subculture of the like Pearly King sort of dude on the front there, and all the writing, the typography feels very like Spanish, kind of a bit Gothic-y quarter. Like it feels historic. Like it's an interesting look about it. Gold and the red as well is obviously like massively Spanish. as is the sort of brown glassware as well. I think as a sort of marketing exercise, it looks pretty good.
Oh yeah, take a bow, marketing team.
Yeah,
But that's true of most macro brands. Guinness,
That is true.
in particular. Foster's Good Call was an incredible campaign that was very successful.
Yeah.
The Carlsberg probably, and the Carlsberg probably not. They've always been incredible at this stuff. But like I say in the video, that's really been the difference between these brands once they're cold enough. And obviously under blind taste test conditions, they do taste different. But all they've got is marketing, and that's what they spend most of their money on.
It's true.
And they've done a wonderful job, but that's kind of the issue. They're too good at it. They can lie for fun.
They can lie for fun.
And we'll swallow it. We haven't talked about the liquid once in this podcast and that's what they want. They want us to talk about the marketing probably because, the liquid is fine. It would have done pretty well in a blind taste test, I think. But they don't want people to focus on what it tastes like. Otherwise, the marketing would reflect that. They want people to talk about where it's from, or indeed where it's where it's not from. So yeah, it's interesting. Like on some level, I don't care. I don't really drink it. I shouldn't really worry about the crosswinds of macro brewing, but it definitely does have an effect on the smaller breweries and on the reputation, I think, of Madrid beer. And that's something that Jesus Mora Philly Sofia 33 said. He said, "Lovely video. I'm actually from Madrid and have actively refused to buy the so-called lager Madri just because of the stupid marketing that tries to lure you into buying just because it forcibly integrates typical Madrid iconography onto the label. I didn't know it wasn't even made by a Spanish company, but will spread the word mostly because we've never had too rich of a beer culture, and truly local craft brewers are making amazing efforts to fix that." So, he's saying that, essentially we've co-opted Madrid culture. Well, we haven't. Molson Coors have effectively appropriated it. And essentially, when people in the UK think about Spanish Madrid beer now, they're going to think of Madri, which is not neither a fair representation, and it's a kind of cliche, like a Disneyfication of what Madrid is actually like.
I just zoned out a little bit there, Johnny, because I was just looking at the word the word Madri. Everything you said was very good. Looking at the word Madri, which I've realised is just Madrid without the D on the end. So it's like calling your beer Londo or Manchester.
Well, is it like the local? Is it the local spelling or the local way that they pronounce Madrid? Like
no idea. Oh, I was just interpreting it as like they've gone, well, we can't call it Madrid because that will get sued by like Madrid or something. So let's just drop
possibly.
a letter.
They don't want to get caught in the Budweiser, the longest IP dispute in history, with the fact that Budweiser took the name of a town and named their lager after it, and the town was like, "You what?" Well, the brewery in the town was like, "You what?"
So, Johnny, we need to come out with a beer called Londo, like Lando Calrissian, but
Londo.
Londo.
I did when I said about the soul of the pride of London being somewhere in Swindon. I did get a message from the malt miller, so effectively being like, "Oi, you leave Swindon alone."
Yeah, and Swindon's great.
The malt miller is the best thing about Swindon.
Oof, I don't know. There's some good little pubs there as well. We
did have some. Yeah, we did get some decent pubs. To be fair to them, but malt miller's still the best thing, even though there's good stuff in Swindon. We love the malt miller.
Nice having those guys on the pod last week too. Shout out
that
Malt
was
Miller.
fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, good stuff. They're very entertaining.
I was worried it wouldn't be quite in the theme of Friday 5 p.m. random rants, but they delivered in that regard as well.
Oh yeah, they brought
knowledge. It. Yeah.
Good work.
deflating courgettes was my favourite tangent that we took.
Wild.
I got another comment that I really enjoyed. Elliot Smith 3473, who just said, "Good old Tadri."
That's good.
It's pretty good, isn't it?
That is good. It's
only got 8 thumbs up. Deserves more. Everybody, go give Elliot Smith a thumbs up. I've given it a heart.
Yeah, man, that's great.
I'm going to give it a 9th thumbs up. What comments did you find?
I've got one from Steve Hall. Says, "I've been drinking and enjoying Madri quite recently. Had no idea there was this controversy of its origin or marketing. As a Yorkshireman, I'm now even more enamoured by it being a local brew," which is fair enough, I think.
Yeah, Yorkshireman drink Drink local, drink Madri.
Drink
Yep.
Madri. Yeah, I mean it's a beautiful international Yorkshirean international lager.
I did enjoy the fact that he's got a flat cap on, so there's clearly some kind of lineage between
we
the
were debating
Jalapos,
this.
Are they?
Yeah, we were saying, is that a nod to Yorkshire or is that part of the jalapeno kind of look?
Yeah, I think it is part of the Madrid culture rather than the Yorkshire one, but it is a nice, surprising link to make.
Yeah, another comment I like was from Biscuit Jeff. Who,
Biscuit Jeff.
He dubbed Madri the lilt of beers, which I thought was quite an interesting concept.
Yeah, that one took me a while, and then I clocked it. It's pretty clever.
Yeah. So everyone knows I love a lilt as well. But
you do love a lilt, so it was a comment very much for you. But I guess what he's saying is, the totally tropical taste.
Yeah.
And it was all marketed by people in the Caribbean, but I presume has never been
nothing to do with
there
Caribbean at all. Not whatsoever. Yeah, nothing at all.
Hey, maybe the fruit extracts that went in are from there. Maybe, but probably not.
I doubt it. But you can't deny. I mean, yeah, like all the advertising campaign was like West Indian kind of like heritage stuff. I remember it back in the day because my family's from Brixton, so we've got like a kind of Jamaican vibe in a lot of the stuff that my dad used to like. Jamaican patties and stuff he used to eat in Brixton, and had lots of mates around there and whatnot. And the music he listened to as well was kind of Jamaican vibes a little bit. So I guess maybe that's where my love of lilt came from, because it was a totally tropical taste, Johnny, that made me think of the West Indies and like kind of all that kind of whole culture that is around where I'm originate from.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
well,
maybe
wouldn't that would have been a much more authentic thing for lilt to play up on, like the West Indian culture of Brixton, rather than pretending it had anything to do with the actual location of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
And I would imagine if there ever is another big national lilt campaign, that's probably what they'll do.
They might lean into that a bit more. Ting is a good. I think that is actually a West Indian. I don't know about owned, but it's got more of an authentic vibe to it. KA Drinks or something they're called, who make Ting, which I think tastes pretty great.
I'm just looking. Well, Wikipedia says it is popular in the Caribbean.
Ting.
First produced in 1976 by Desnos and Geddes, acquired by Guinness in 1993.
No, wait. What are we talking Ting here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was it's a Jamaican. Oh wow,
Yeah.
Jamaican brewer and beverage producer best known for Red Stripe is Desnos and Geddes.
Yeah.
So so Red
pretty
Stripe
legit.
and Ting are from the same place.
Yeah, man.
And Old
It's
Jamaica
pretty
ginger
legit.
beer.
Exactly.
Wowee!
It's good, isn't it?
I'm
it's
learning
pretty
things.
Cool. You can get it in really beautiful glass bottles, which I've never really had out of, but they look really nice. But the cans, they're the cheapest can you can buy in a supermarket. I've seen them well under 50p, which I'm not sure how they're making any money for a Ting. Yeah,
Right.
wild times. Like we live in 20 years ago. Those prices, man. So this is now an advert for Ting. I'm going to be sponsored by Ting at the festival. I'd love some Ting at the festival. Maybe I should reach out to them.
Maybe you should. We could do some shandies.
Shandy boys.
Just trying to look at. I think it's now owned by. Yeah, so it's now owned by PepsiCo. It looks like.
Oh, okay.
And made in the UK under contract.
Yeah. Well,
Ting legit. Looks like there's a pink Ting.
What?
A pink grapefruit Ting, mate.
Yeah, I'm seeing this too. That looks good. That looks good. Pink Ting.
Pink Ting.
Bigger bottle as well. Wow, interesting.
Right. Well, another avenue I didn't expect to go down, but Ting is actually has some heritage, whereas I don't believe that lilt does. No. Anything else you want to talk about for the Madri video, other than to say drink Estrella or Estrella? Well, ideally Estrella Galicia.
Well, we're getting people are requesting a world beer lager blind taste test. at some point, please, Johnny.
Right. Oh yeah, I didn't see that. Okay, yeah, we
Yeah,
can.
Tom
we can
Guest
do
has
that.
requested that. I think that's quite a good shout. Yeah, and another person got Andrew Steer got a Peroni UK ad during watching this video, which I thought was quite funny as well.
Asahi UK having a say there.
Yeah. Jump in Allen's. He is in Hong Kong, and their local Heineken, Carlsberg, San Miguel are all made across the border in Guangdong in China. So this is not just a UK centric thing where we're kind of
no
being sold stuff as
let's be
being
clear,
from somewhere else.
I don't have that many issues with contract brewing a brand around the world, because brands like Carlsberg don't make a claim to be heavily Danish, really. I mean, they use Mads.
You know what I've just realised, which has really annoyed me recently about this kind of, contract brewing shit, is the Brooklyn advert. Have you seen the Brooklyn advert at the moment on TV? It's a girl walking around going, everyone's going, where'd you get your beers from? She's like, Brooklyn. And she's like cool looking and hanging out on street corners with people kind of got with like beatboxes and stuff. And then she's at like a house party and she's got like a 4-pack of the yellow one, the Pilsner one.
Yeah, the Pilsner,
which is rubbish. And everyone's loving it. And it's all shot in Brooklyn. And it's so, I find that really offensive in a way, because that is one of my gateway beers, man, that got me into it when it was legit. And it was all getting brought over from Brooklyn.
Wait, what's your issue? So the fact that I don't know whether it is contract brewed. I presume it is.
What's that? Sorry, it is. I mean, it is brewed in the UK. It says on the advert, brewed in the UK.
Okay.
Yeah. So that from launch, the Pilsner was always brewed in the UK. I don't even know if they have. I suppose they have it in America, but I don't know that. But my issue is they've really leaned into the cool, hot Brooklyn summer sort of thing, where everyone's really cool, and Brooklyn's cool still, right? And she's walking around and she's spreading joy with this beer, which definitely wouldn't be cool because she's walking around with it for a long time. But I guess my issue is that I was like, this is something
warm Pilsner.
Yeah,
brewed
this is something
in Burton.
I used to love, and now I can't really abide by it anymore because of this sort of stuff. So yeah, I guess I don't have a massive affinity for Mahou or Mao or however you say it from Madrid, but I don't have like memories of going to Mahou Brewery, whereas I do have memories of going to Brooklyn Brewery several times and like really being kind of enlivened by it and thinking it was just amazing, everything about it, how cool it was and the location it was in, the story behind it, them kind of paying off mobsters and working with one of the best graphic designers in the world who took a little cut of the company rather than getting paid, had like this amazing lore behind it. And now they're sort of making contract stuff, which is kind of sucks.
Well, this is the nature of all brewing.
Yeah.
Though, I mean, so through writing The Meaning of Beer, you sort of learn that back in the day, Carlsberg, Spaten, Budweiser, all these breweries were incredible, innovative, small businesses that were somebody's dream that they struggled for years to make work. And, they become these global beer moths. But at some point, exactly that kind of thing happened. Like with Brooklyn. So, Brooklyn might go on to become like a household name all around the world.
Yeah.
And we'll remember the time when it was this small brewery in Brooklyn. Well, maybe we won't quite remember that. We're not quite old enough. But when it was a cool brand and it was all brewed there and it was great to see it come over here. But yeah, every brand that sells out to a macro or every brand that gets to a certain size has to do that at some point. And it's sad because, I mean, essentially what you're objecting to is the loss of authenticity, right?
Yeah. But it's
just
a personal loss. It's like a band that I like that's gone stratospheric. It's that same sort of feeling where you're like, I'm not a sports fan, so I don't have teams or anything that I like, but I can imagine it's almost a similar feeling to that, because I feel like that's part of my, not identity, but like my beer identity is like I really loved Brooklyn. And
well, I think a lot of sports people want their
yeah.
brands to succeed, and it's
Yeah,
interesting that I think in craft beer we don't necessarily want it to. We don't want it to
No,
grow and go
it's
global.
weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is weird. I think it is like a band. It's like your favourite band or whatever, which we know Brewdog and other brands are to certain, kind of people. It kind of has that appeal, doesn't it?
I've sort of played up to, yeah.
Yeah. So
well, I'm sorry
tribal.
for your loss, but and I'm annoyed if they're saying they get their beer from Brooklyn. I can see how they can get away with that because what they're saying is from the brewery Brooklyn, not from the place. But that's not what they really mean, is it? It's not what they're playing around with. So that's unfortunate. But yeah, sadly, it's the way it goes, and it's reason why we've definitely softened on macros that are ethical and responsible, or as ethical and responsible as they can be. But it's still whoever you sell to, that you are essentially putting a timestamp on your brand before it A becomes what Brooklyn is becoming, and then B, if it doesn't pan out, you put a literal death day on your brand, because it will sort of get closed, shut down, and then potentially rebought like Hofmeister and stuff like that and brought back to life. But generally, you're condemning it to death. It's just a matter of when. I'll
just add a little post note or whatever. I will still have my Brooklyn Brewery Summer Ale beach towel, and I will use it with pride whenever I go to a beach. But apart from that, it's pretty annoying.
Well, you'll look damn good doing it as well.
They've got great branding.
Right, cool. That's all we've got time for this week. Next week we should have what was supposed to be a crash course in hops and is in fact a biography of the Abbess Hildegard. So that'll be live on Wednesday unless I get cold feet, and then hopefully we'll have a podcast before I dash off to Cornwall for a week away, and then we'll be seeing hundreds of you the week after at our festival. And like we say, tickets are still available. Please do buy them. It supports the channel, and we'll have an absolutely magnificent time there. Like I say, evening tickets, still lots of them kicking around. Have an amazing weekend, and we'll see you on Wednesday. Love and beer. The Bubble and Friday 5pm podcasts are brought to you by the nerds behind YouTube's craft beer channel. You can watch over 400 mini documentaries at youtube.com/the craft beer channel, and if you love what we do, support us via Patreon and get access to merchandise and our amazing Discord forum, a positive and welcoming space for everyone who loves beer, food and homebrewing. Love and beer.